Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The More You Mow. I'm Jay, and today we're coming to do something a little bit different. So I'm planning on putting up some permanent LED lights around my house, and this is not a sponsored video, but I did a lot of research, and this was the company I decided to go with. It's brought to you by Novostella. So they have multiple different sizes you can get. I decided to go with the 32 meter or 105 foot, and I went with 2 boxes, just because I have to finish my downstairs as well as my upstairs. We'll go over what comes inside that kit, but I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of the parts we're gonna be using to install this. So they come with little staples that look like these. They're plastic and they screw in. I'm not a fan of these, so I basically just took these and tossed them in the trash. Instead, I went with the jar of these. So these are your nail and cable ties. They're 3/4 inch in width. So they'll fit directly onto the LED strip. And they come with nails already inside of them, so you just set them on there and just tap your nails in. It makes it much easier than trying to add screws when you're already in a precarious situation. Providing power to the Novostella lights, we'll be going with the Cync system from GE. This is an outdoor smart plug. It has 2 plugs on it. They can both be controlled individually. They also work with your Alexa and your Google Home. I have an Alexa, so that's why this was appealing to me. Then for the actual installation part, we have our silicone adhesive glue, as well as some tape to cover up the LEDs that we don't want to be seen. I have a roll of double-sided tape, just in case. And I have 2 outdoor boxes that I'm going to be using to install my controllers. Now, this system for the Novostella is waterproof, but from what I can tell, the controllers are not. So you want to keep them out of the elements as best as possible. So that's where these 4 square outdoor rated boxes come in. So as I said, I went with the Novostella unit. Govee makes something similar, but they're completely out of stock and they're a little bit more expensive than Novostella. As far from all the research I had done, these are actually a pretty solid company and they stand by their product. So I'm more than happy to give them a shot. So instead of going up and down the ladder every single year, twice a year, if not more, in order to install holiday lights, I decided to go with the permanent solution. I can use these for any holiday. I can use them for regular ambient lighting. This is a complete kit. It comes with the controller, it comes with the power supply, and it comes with, of course, the LED strips. So what can be somewhat confusing or misleading is this 105 feet they tell you here is not completely linear. So what it is it's 2 52.5 foot strips, if I'm not mistaken, join together at a Y. So one strip goes to the left, one strip goes to the right. You try to get them as close as possible in order to complete your 105 feet so you don't have any gaps. They do that because it's a lower voltage system and they aren't able to push the whole 105 feet with just one controller. So that's why you have to have the 2 separate runs that come out from one controller. The style I went with was the RGBIC. So the RGBIC means that they're individually controlled LEDs. So that way you can have multiple colors going at one time. I originally bought just the RGB version, and the RGB version is only red, blue, green, and the assortment of colors in between there, but they don't all come in at different times. You can only have one set color coming in at a time instead of having multiple lights, like as you see here, where it's like a rainbow effect. And that's what I wanted, because I didn't want it to be just one solid state color. I wanted to be able to transition in between colors smoothly. So let's go ahead and open the box and see what comes inside. So I already opened this to test to make sure everything was working properly before I was going to go install it. So this isn't necessarily a complete unboxing, but this is going to show you what comes in the kit. So the kit comes with some zip ties. That's for the plastic clips that come with the unit. I'm not going to be using those or these, so I'm going to toss these to the side. It also comes with your adhesive and caps, so that way when you get to the end of your run, if you need to make a cut, you can go ahead and make your cut wherever it says you can cut at. So I'll show you that when we get towards the installation side of it. So you make your cut, fill in these caps with some silicone, stick it on the end so that way it keeps it waterproof. Comes with your controller. The controller is pretty decent. I prefer to go off the app that it recommends using. It's called Magic Lantern, and from there you can set all the different styles and different color ranges that you want to display on your house. Like I said, the controller is pretty solid, but it doesn't have all the options that you get on the app, so I won't be using this very often. Again, these are those plastic clips that I won't be using. Like I said, I'm going to be using the cable ties, or the cable staples that I got from Lowe's. And of course, for your controller, it comes with the battery. So this is your plug that it comes with. It comes with a waterproof connector. You just unthread it and thread it back in. It comes apart, just 2 prongs, match it up, and then tighten down your threads over here so that way it stays waterproof. This is your middle connection between your controller, which is over here, and your power source or power supply. And this is also waterproof. It's also the same kind of thread pattern, but this is just your male and female connector. So you could actually extend these out to get to wherever you need to do your power source, which I might do in the future. But for now, I'll just run an extension cord so that way I can get it up and running. These Novostella LEDs are also IP65 waterproof. You can tell by if you look at it from the side profile, it has a clear silicone covering over the actual LED strips, which is what makes it actually waterproof. Now, when you do any cuts, you got to make sure that you put the cap with silicone on the end of it so that way you can maintain your waterproof rating. Novostella offers these in many different sizes. There's a 16 foot, I believe, 32, 52 and a half, and then you have your 105 foot, which is what I decided to go with. Now, when it comes to mounting, not very many things will stick to this material, so that's why it doesn't come with an adhesive back. I wish it did to make installation a little bit easier, but it doesn't. So what I recommend doing is using those clips that I showed you, the ones with the nails in them, and then using silicone in between. You basically use the clips as just a way to hold them temporarily until the silicone hardens and stays in place. It's very important that before you buy your LEDs or anything that you buy that's going to be going on your house, that you measure and measure and measure and measure again to make sure you're buying the right product. The worst thing that you could do is start putting this up and then realize you're about 5 feet too short. You can always make it shorter, you can't always make it longer. So always keep that in mind when you go to buy your product. Always overestimate rather than underestimate. So as part of your measuring, I recommend you go out and do a crude drawing of the front of your place or wherever you're going to be installing your devices. So with this, it kind of shows you a little bit of what I was working with. So I was just outside, it was cold, I just did a quick sketch, but you see my 2 garages. I have a 2-car garage here, 1-car garage on this side, and I basically measured from the corner wherever it bent around the roof line all the way across to where the J box is, and I had roughly 43 feet. Did the same thing for the front of the house. Like I said, please excuse the drawing. It's just very crude just so I can get some measurements out. So this is the front of the house. These are my 2 windows that I have in the front, the pillars that are going down. My J box is right here in the corner. And from where the J box is, coming around the corner, all the way back to the other side of the house, which is, this is where my office is at, is 50 feet. So make sure that you measure and measure and measure so you know exactly what you're buying. Make sure that you're very diligent about your measurements. So let's go ahead and plug these in and see what we get from as soon as we get power. Like I said, this is just temporary so we can see what comes on when you plug it in. So you plug it in and it's pretty bright. So you'd be surprised with how bright these actually are. So with this controller, you can go through and change however you want them set up. So as I was saying, this isn't one continuous line, so it actually comes out at this Y point, which for some people can be a deal breaker, but for me, I can make it work. I want a different style. I mean, you have to pay a little more to get it, but this will work for what I need. So as I said, it comes out from a Y. You get your waterproof connectors, and then you try to get these as close as possible as you can on your install, so that way it looks like one continuous system. So I'll go through some of the controls and you can see what it does. So we can go green. They're pretty responsive. There's not much of a delay between the 2 strings. As you see here, there's also a microphone attached to them, so you can make your LED strips go to your voice. There's also different functions, so you have your music here. You have your regular blue, green, red set up here, white, as well as your different modes, auto, speed, whatnot. Right now I just have it set on the part where you can hear me talk. So that's what you're seeing right now, is it's actually picking up my voice, which is pretty cool. So I think it's something that's pretty unique that you don't see all the time. So as you can see that it changes multiple different colors depending on whatever setting you have it in. This is one of the features that drew me to this product. I like how it's multiple different colors in a certain strand as opposed to just one solid color. And that's where you get your RGBIC instead of your just regular RGB. So this is called a dream color. So you can see that it goes through multiple different colors all at the same time, which I feel is very, very appealing. This way, this kind of gives you a little quick rundown of some of the colors. Like I said, the app is far more advanced than what the controller gives you. I can't demonstrate exactly what's on the app while I'm recording at the same time, but tonight I'll give you a kind of a idea of what settings I have and what it can do. So again, this is a Novostella unit. This is the RGBIC version, and I got the 105 feet, which is the longest you can go. but also it is trimmable, so that way if you have too much, you can always cut back to make it to whatever size you need it to be. So let's go ahead and get this installed, and I'll give you guys a time lapse. I'm only going to do the first floor because the second floor is going to take quite a while, and you can get the idea from the first floor. So let's go outside and get this installed. So the way these will be installed is to the underside of my soffit. As you see here, I have a fascia that goes across the front of my house, and it continues all the way down. So for my house, I have different levels and variations, so I need 2 kits. So the first kit's going to cover from over here on the garage, going across through. Over here is where I'm going to mount my boxes for my controllers, and that's where my Y is going to be. And then one run is going to run across the underside over here, coming across to where my office window is on the other side of the house, and then the other one will connect back in that corner over there. So as far as mounting goes, I'm going to mount my waterproof boxes right over here on the back side of this eave. I'm trying to keep it out of sight as much as possible and kind of keep it in a central location so that way I can reach pretty much wherever I need to go. For the top, I'm not sure where I'm going to mount that box. Hopefully I can mount it in the same area, but if I need to run it further, then I guess I will. It's up there. So this is where we're going to start at. What I recommend doing before you really even get started is run out your LED strips, so that way you can kind of see what kind of footage you're working with, and if you don't have any obstacles. Like for instance, I have this gutter I have to go around, so I got to keep that in mind. So I ran it all the way across. It's going up on the underside, and it's going over there, and the spool is just sitting on the ground until I need more footage off of it. So let's go ahead and drill out this box so that way we can get started mounting our controller. This doesn't come with any kind of holes drilled in it, so you kind of got to drill your own. So I'm going to make a pilot hole, and I'm going to use a step bit in order to get the size I need. And then we'll swap over to our step bit, and then we'll make the hole wider. So the most important part about this waterproofing is getting this controller inside of this box. The controller itself is not waterproof, so make sure you take that into account. So you're going to have to drill a hole big enough to fit this coming in and coming out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill it to maybe 3/4 of an inch, and we'll go from there. I got that drilled out. We can go ahead and see if all of our connections will fit inside, which they do. And if there's any issues with this hole, I can fill it with silicone. So I'm not really worried about that part, as long as I can get all the parts in that I need. So as I said, the most important part is to keep this controller nice and dry. Okay, so up here in this corner, right there is where I'm planning on mounting my first box. I'm gonna mount both of them in this corner if I can. Just use a wind if you can. It's a rather windy day and it's cold. It's about 30 degrees outside, so I'm trying to get this done as quick as possible. So let me go ahead and put this box up. So now that the first box is mounted, we have our plugs hanging out the end, so let's go ahead and connect up our LEDs and try to get that started. So before we get into that, this is the Novostella LED strip, so you can see that they're spaced about maybe an inch apart, and there's an arrow showing you the direction. There's an arrow showing you the direction of the LEDs of how they flow. So this is a pretty nice and robust LED strip. They have silicone over it, which makes it waterproof. It's pretty tight, so that way it's a good quality unit. So that's why I have no problem putting these up permanently. See how long they last. So my plan is to use this silicone glue. That's what I have laying around. It'll work. And what I'm planning on supporting it with the glue is these tack-in strips. So it'll be pretty convenient to help hold on to the LEDs while the silicone dries. It's all part of the game.
Let's see. see. Let's see.
Go ahead and conclude the install part. You can't really see it from the ground unless you're really looking for it. I think it turned out pretty good. The only thing I would say is definitely make sure you have adhesive and these tabs, because it's not very easy to get into these tight spaces. Definitely take your time, be careful, be safe on a ladder. For the most part, I think it turned out pretty good. I had just enough length to get to where I needed it to go. It looks clean. Let's go over here, I'll show you. This is how it looks on the inside. So you can kind of see the white tabs a little bit, which is okay. It's kind of hard to hit the 90s, so you want to do a casual bend. You're not going to notice it from the street. All in all, I think it turned out pretty well. Now let's go ahead and add power to it, and then we'll check in later tonight and see how it looks. So as I mentioned before, I'll be using a smart outdoor plug to turn on and off my lights. So the style that I'm using is the Cync Smart Plug from GE. So it works with Amazon Alexa, and it also works with Hey Google if you have that system in place. I have Alexa, so I'll be able to turn it on and off using my voice, which will be pretty nice. I can also set different schedules. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this real quick, and we'll get some temporary power going to it. I'm just running an extension cord right now just so I can get power to it. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get these lines over here, the AC adapter lines, they can be extended. So I'm gonna get probably one of those, one or two of them. Let's see what we do for the top, but definitely need one for over here, so that way I don't have to run an extension cord all the way down. I can run the plug all the way back to this outlet. So the LEDs are installed, and this is how they look. So far I have them on a green and blue pattern, so you can kind of follow it along. Runs all the way back. It's the corner, and it meets up right over here. All in all, I gotta say I'm pretty happy with the setup. I can't wait to see what it looks like at night. Like I said, ignore the ugly connection points here. I just want to make sure that everything is working. I'm kind of running out of daylight, so this weekend I'll definitely go through and find a permanent solution for the power source. But let's see how it looks tonight. I'll check back in with you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed how this looks so far. It's a good process. Like I said, just be careful on the ladder. If you don't like heights, definitely contract it out or find someone who can do it for you. But all in all, it's really not that bad. I like how it turned out, and I'll give this 2 thumbs up. So here's how the LEDs look on the house. You'll have to excuse the other lights that are around. They kind of drown out the other color, but you see I have it on a red, blue, green setting right now. There's hundreds of different ones you can choose from. This is kind of the one I'm going with so far for Christmas theme. Still need to do the peaks on top of the house over there. Probably gonna get to that this weekend, but I want to give you a quick demo of what it looks like on the first floor. So far so good. I really like it. I think it looks pretty clean. They're pretty bright. I like how it turned out. Can't wait to do the second floor. It's gonna be kind of scary, but we'll get it taken care of.